when we're on tour, that's what we get, the the hot dog, like gas station hot dog. This just keeps us going.
Ugh. Keeps you going somewhere. It keeps you going to the bathroom. Is what keeps
exactly.
Welcome to the 78th episode of the Cast That Ends Creation. I'm your host, Chris Deering. This is the show where I interview bands and public figures from the mathcore adjacent communities. If you beautiful people in chat have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them and I'll try to read them aloud. If you like the sub, you get access to some exclusive emails as well as access to the interviews before they hit YouTube and other streaming services. You can also sub for free by attaching an Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. It's like taking $5 from Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this in your car and have no idea what I'm talking about, the show is first recorded live on Twitch. Join us every Sunday and Wednesday at twitch.tv/the Cast That Ends Creation for the live cast. With that out of the way, let me introduce our guest today who dropped their debut full-length album, Liberation from a Brutalist Existence, last month through Intellidon Records and Badmouth Records. Welcome in Brent from Wanderer. How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, did I pronounce that label correctly? Intellidon?
Yes, yeah. As far as I know,
Five
I think
head.
that's not.
Big head.
Yeah. Some of the British podcasts that cover us and call us Intellidon, which I was like, that's fair. Like it's not. We didn't put how to pronounce it on the record. So as long as you're saying it, I'm fine with it.
Well, so is Intellidon you guys then, or is it an actual label? Okay.
Yeah, Intellidon is a label out of Santa Fe, I think. Okay. Yeah, that's where the main guy that we're in contact with is named Augustine. And we got in contact with them because I filled in for the band, this like post-metal band called Lungs, on tour for like 2 weeks a couple years ago. And they released their album on Intellidon, and they, the records look really good, and they seem to have a good relationship, with the guy. Like the guy seemed pretty cool. So, they put in a good word for me. Jeff from Lungs, the main guy, the drummer, put in a good word for us. And like I sent him the record, and, he, was interested in putting it out. And his partner is named Art, I think. And I think he's from LA. And they just kind of like work on stuff together, and he does some of the design, and he's got his bands that are signed to the label and stuff.
Okay.
So
okay, that's cool. I was wondering because like a lot of bands will like make up a record label to like look a little bit more legitimate, and then you guys are selling the vinyl on your Bandcamp as well, which it seems like most labels want to like hold on to like their part, you know what I mean, and sell it like, from their label. So I was just a little confused as to like if that was you guys just making a thing.
Oh yeah, that was kind of the deal that we worked out. Like, is like, I was going to be able to, I was going to most likely be, doing a lot of, the mail order kind of stuff anyway. And just to like kind of, funnel traffic to one place. And, like that, now they have them, they had them available on like release day and everything, but we were doing the pre-orders. And, he just wanted, however many, a couple dozen records that he got, that he has for sale. And then we had the like our variant, which is like 100 of the orange records, which are sold out now.
Okay.
But we had those specifically, and then both us and him have and the label Intellidon have the red copies.
Okay, that's cool, man. So you guys dropped your first single May of 2014. I assume that's when the band kind of came together?
Yeah, I mean, I joined in, I think, 2016, 2015, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not technically original, but I saw, a couple of their first shows, and, I was like, homies with all those guys. I was in a band with Jack prior to Wanderer, like in 2014. Yeah, right around when Wanderer was getting started up. That we actually met at what was the show? It was Dillinger Escape Plan, Trash Talk, Shining, and some other band that I can't. Oh, God damn it! I know. I just remember.
Oh, you're stuttering like crazy. You're I think you're. Oh wait, maybe we're good now. Okay, it looks like we're good. I think your internet was like stuttering for a second. But yeah, dude, Dillinger's definitely a great band to like bond over and get into here. So
Yeah.
so you were on the EP before this, but that's it. You weren't on any of the other earlier stuff.
I was on the Anzio split.
Okay.
The yeah the so they when I actually so Paul or I guess not Paul Lowell from uh Frail Body, it was in that band, was in Anzio, and we've been friends with Lowell for quite a while now, and like became friends with them like in the Rockford scene and stuff like that. And so that Anzio is no longer a band, but that was the first material of ours that I recorded.
So
And that
you were
was
on
before
the other two EPs then.
yeah, everything past then I've since
Okay.
then I've been on.
I mean, you have to be like a big force if you're the only guitar player. So like, it's just weird that they would like swap out guitar players like that. You know what I mean?
Well, so I actually, when the band started, or when I would join the band, there was two guitarists.
Oh, okay.
So a handful of the tunes on Gloom Days, and then I think like one on Abandoned were contributed in by the old guitarist, the other guy that I was in the band with. I took over for another guy named Brett, and they had all been in a band with Mono previously, like a kind of like metalcore, breakdown core kind of band, a melodic hardcore with a lot of breakdowns. That so they had been in that band for a while, and then that band broke up. They started something that eventually became Wanderer. So yeah, when those first the from the Anzio split on through Abandoned, there was two guitar players. And then when Matt left the band, like very soon after, or like he left like right before we recorded Abandoned. So I recorded all the parts on that EP, but I did not. There's a couple songs that I didn't write on there, but then most of the material on the this new record, I had a hand in writing most of it. Like most of the structure and stuff like that then was worked on. I came with most of the riffs, and these different ideas, and then we all put them together in the practice space.
Okay. I see. I was looking back at y'all's history. I didn't see any other lineups except for the same lineup
Mhm.
y'all had for this album with a different vocalist on it. So I didn't know that you weren't in here at the beginning and that y'all had another guitarist and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's really
It's
interesting.
hard. It's hard to include like this very detailed, uh, elaborate, like multi-person, history kind of thing in
Right.
very succinctly. So I've just been kind of leaving it out for a little bit, just because it's easier to, I think my something that I wrote was like we started as a quintet and are now a quartet or something like that. I said something about that in some way, but you know, uh, yeah, it's been. I think this is like me and Jack and Mono have been, the kind of the core of the band since I joined.
Mm.
And like Matt, just because he did live in the Twin Cities for a while, but then he lived in Iowa for a little bit, and then came up and then went back to Iowa. So that it was a little bit, we ended up writing a bunch of music and then like bringing it to him kind of thing. So yeah, it was a different dynamic, but I think now it's we've got it pretty, we've toured with this lineup, and like with Dan being the new guy, I guess, even though he's been in the band for like almost 3 years at this point.
So you got a solid lineup going now.
Yeah, and I've known Dan for a long time, but he's a better guitarist than I am. He's a better bassist than Jack. He has a not that like Jack is a bad bass player, but he has a degree in bass. Like he has a bass performance
How do you have a
degree.
degree in bass? What the heck? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
just like he was a performing arts major at I think McAllister College, I think in St. Paul, for and his major was bass guitar.
I didn't know you could major in like bass. That's fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
just like
Holy crap.
like performance,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's like he's an incredible bassist, he's an incredible guitarist, and he has never done just vocals before. So it took a little, like the handful of shows where him getting used to not having a guitar on him. It's like a different, it's it feel naked kind of thing. It's like not having your phone on you.
Right. It'd feel a little
so
more freeing, I would think.
yeah, and it's like if you're not used to that, it's a little being in front of people is like kind of potentially like a little bit different than even though he's played hundreds of shows and stuff like that. So we took we played those shows, like we toured on it, and like we played a lot of, we've been playing some of these songs for live. I think been playing Contented and then Bloom Decay, like in just putting those together because it's kind of like one song. We've been playing those for like probably almost 3 years at this point.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
We have been just playing them live. So like we've been some of the Contented, the song that Brandon, the old vocalist, is on, they have a guest spot. Their pronouns are they them. They with that guest spot, that was kind of like bridging the gap between like the old Brandon in the band and then Dan in the band kind of thing, having that spot. Cool. And they were in the band for like there's got to be someone with a video of us playing that song with a totally different vocal part that Brandon wrote that we never recorded, and that I don't think we ever got like any demos or anything of it because they just did it live. So it was they were still kind of involved in writing that song, and then so like that was kind of the the bridge, that was the first new song that we taught to Dan.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the bridge because it's not just the new vocalist, right? The production for one thing is way better than what y'all were doing before, and the songs are just so much heavier. Like y'all were this hardcore band before this, and now you've like interjected some death metal and a lot of sludgy aspects, a lot more mathy stuff. Do you feel like your genre has shifted to something else now, or do you still consider yourself a hardcore band? Okay, what would you call yourselves?
Ethically, we're like, or not, I guess not ethically, but like like who we are is a hardcore band. Like we're never not gonna play like hardcore shows, and like I want to play with bands that are straight up like a Negative Approach, just like straight up dumb hardcore kind of stuff. Everything from that to like we grew up playing with as in early parts of the band, we played with like exclusively not heavy bands like ever, just because that was not our friend group, and there wasn't a lot of people that like, there wasn't really a scene at that time with heavy music that was being made by like younger people.
So what was like the heaviest kind of music I would play with back in the day?
Well, like when we released Gloom Days, I think we had just done a tour with Infinite Me, which they're not, I don't really know what their status is band anymore, but they're like kind of post rock, like Pianos Become the Teeth.
Okay.
And
y'all don't really
like
fit
that.
with that, but okay, I got you.
Yeah, and they had some heavier parts, they had some like harsh vocals and stuff like that, but yeah, it was very different pairing. Before the tour right before I joined the band, they did with Pierre, which is like they're really fantastic band, kind of like very Nirvana-esque, but like Drug Church, like pup kind of stuff without there's not as much vocal craziness, but yeah, it's like and very like Title Fight influenced, because that was like huge right when they started as a band, which is they're older than us. So those first handful of tours were with bands that were not hardcore bands at all.
That's hilarious, man. Holy crap. So what would you say your influences are now?
I mean, it started like before I was in the band, they were more I guess like Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child era, Norma Jean, obviously just like everyone that has panic chords in their band,
right?
And then like some botch, and like, like the Chariot was a huge influence for all of them. And then like bands like, there's a really small band that I don't know what their status is, man, anyway, but the Greenery, they were on Prosthetic.
Oh, I know
Like,
him. Yeah.
yeah, that band was like, that was like a bonding moment for, I mean, when I joined the band, that was a bonding moment for me and them, because I knew, I didn't know anyone else that knew that band. And that, that was kind of, kind of fast hardcore, like trash talk and stuff.
What about where you guys are now, though?
Well, and now, so it's shifted to be, it's still got that same kind of vein, but we have, it's more like Converge is like a huge, like, that's, what is huge influence on me, just like guitar wise. Kurt Ballou is just, I've learned so many of their songs that it's like hard not to play
That style,
that kind of stuff, which, I've kind of used, I've started, and I've been listening to more like death metal, like the new kind of death metal bands, like Undeath, and not really that Sanguisugabog new record. I didn't really like that one as much, but like Frozen Soul and like 200 Stab Wounds, and like the kind of new wave of like these like old school but not old school death metal kind of bands have been like super influential, like, pretty, around the time that I was starting writing for this new record.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of like, and then, just like classic grindcore stuff, like, Napalm Death, and like Terrorizer was, I just like, that got me like really hyped. I never like wrote anything very similar to it, but it just like was exciting, and it like made me want to, write something, even if it wasn't like, directly influenced. Yeah, more stuff like that.
Seems like you're really into like the HM2 sound, because that's totally what I'm getting from you guys.
Yeah, I like a lot of bands that have that tone, just because it's hard to go. It just sounds good.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I gave up on trying to not use it, because it on the record it's not just an HM2. Like, we have a couple other things blended in there, just like more traditional, like high gain kind of stuff, that so it's not all chainsaw,
right?
That's where it gets kind of boring, is like bands that all have the same type of riffs that all kind of sound similar, which is fine, because it's, I like all of it still, it doesn't change that for me, but like,
but you want to stand out a little bit.
Yeah, to stand out, and it's you have to play a certain type of riff to make that pedal sound good. When it's just full blast, like, you can't do more like intricate kind of stuff without like, having some sort of blend in there, because it just gets lost.
Right.
And that was always my, that's kind of been my thing, is like balancing the, the attack, and then still being able to, have that like, clear note definition like all over the neck, which, we working with like Adam Tucker, who did Gloom Days, and he's just done like so much with us.
Yeah, I was looking back at it. It looks like he's done everything, right?
He was involved in pretty much everything since Gloom Days. Our friend Tane actually recorded the tracks for Abandon in the Triple Rock. So it was like this, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It used to be, I guess it's been closed for like 4 years now, but it was a club that I worked at that was, the showroom was made specifically for having punk rock shows. And it was just perfect. Like, it was an extension of a bar that it was owned by the guitarist and vocalist of Dillinger 4, Eric Funk. So he I was like, I cleaned the place on, in the mornings and stuff like that, for a while. And then I kind of worked my way up there, and then they're just like, yeah, we don't have anything going on during the day. So we just came in, and he brought his like recording stuff, and we sat up and, in the club, like, we had the drums right where the drums would be on the stage.
Yeah.
And put I think I had my cab in the green room, and, so we did some, stuff like that, just to,
make it seem like you're live. I like it.
Yeah. So that was the idea with that, which, like,
didn't Adam also mix and master that though?
Yeah.
So he's still, he was involved in that one still too, right?
Yep. Yeah. So that was the, that's Tane was the odd thing out, the odd person out on those, like the last 3 releases, I guess, because it's most of it's been Ab Tucker. He's fantastic. I've called him, I don't think to his face, maybe to his face. I don't know. I've known him since I was like 18. He's like the Midwest Kurt Ballou, like at least maybe just the Minneapolis Kurt. Like his production, like it sounds so big and so clean, and he just can turn anything that you give him, he can just, it just sounds amazing. And he like
definitely killed it this time around. It's absolutely huge. And it's heavy as fuck, man. God. So writing process, you were talking about it a little bit, but I just want to clear it up real quick. So are you mainly directing the songs then, like mainly putting stuff together, or is it more of a collaborative effort?
I definitely have more of the role of bringing in stuff that sometimes I'll just start like, so I'll bring in some stuff, that I've been playing around with at home, either a riff or, a couple riffs strung together, like I want these to go together. How can we make them go together? And then, like I'll play it enough times that, Mono can listen to it. I'll teach Jack, like what the notes are, and then we'll kind of, bring it together and see how it sounds, and, if there's 2 parts, we'll try and run them together, and just kind of build from there.
So it's more of a collaborative effort then.
Yeah, it's definitely collaborative. And then, sometimes that switches, like there's been a couple of the newer songs that we haven't like recorded yet that we've been writing that Jack has brought, whole, riffs and parts to the song, as well as the the construction, the structure of the tune as well. He's like giving me stuff to play, which has happened, that's happened before, obviously, but, it's more, it's definitely, like I would have never thought of that part. That's like totally his, kind of thing. And it sounds awesome. Like I'm excited to get these new tracks recorded, especially, well, because, we were just talking about Adam Tucker. He just moved his studio into like his own space that was like, he owns the building, and he just made his own spot, and it's like 5 minutes from my house instead of being 10 minutes from my house. So I'm trying to go there and record like Dan's one of Dan's other bands that he plays guitar in and does vocals, called Tulip.
Oh, you might have heard of Tulip. I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, Tulip's sick. I love that.
Yeah,
that album cover is fucking disgusting. I don't know what the hell those little balls are, but
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you were saying you have new music already, like new songs and shit for Wanderer.
Yeah, I mean, we wrote these the songs that are on the record that just came out like almost 3 years ago. Just because, like we recorded we recorded the main tracks in August of 2019. I think that's right. So yeah, it was almost, I mean, it's coming up on 2 years, so it's like, almost, closer to 2 years than not when we released it, which is, like it, but that's what was exciting, like, coming up to it, was that like I still like really, I've never had, I on release day I listened to it and I was like, oh yeah, just like, because it felt like it's something that like I can definitely stand behind. Like I have no problem, like, like
you don't feel like it's in the past, you feel like it's like current.
Yeah. So, and we did, we took a break, like we didn't write anything for a long time, obviously like pandemic and, stuff like that, but we were also like touring a lot and, stuff like that. So we were focused on shows. So now, we've put some stuff together since we've been practicing regularly in the last year or so, like I guess since last summer. Like, we took a couple months off of just because we weren't sure how safe or whatever it was supposed to be. And then as it kind of kept going, and we were like, yeah, we can expand the circle to these 3 other guys kind of thing, and we started writing and stuff. So yeah, I think we have 4 to 5 new songs, I think.
Okay, off to a good
that
start.
are, yeah, they're a little bit more like, not that they're like overly mathy, like we don't really do a whole lot of counting kind of stuff, but there's some odd time, there's some odd time stuff on this new material that is challenging. Like it's that writing a little bit harder parts. Uh, which is it's cool. I like the songs, like I like how they're turning out. It's just it's slightly different approach, like we're trying out different stuff, like different aspects of the band, that because we're not going to be writing a full length, like I don't think this writing, this session, I guess, like these batch of songs it's not going to be like a full length record. We're gonna,
it's not,
as far as we've planned it, like we're not going to go immediately for another full length. Like we want to do, we have we've always wanted to do like splits, and like with just certain bands, and putting out smaller releases and stuff. But it'll come quicker, like it won't be just like we don't release anything, like it's it'll be
it won't be like 7 years from now like it was since the beginning of the band. I got you.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, now that we know, I think it's so much easier. Like I've always thought about that. Like, it takes, if it took us this long to do the first one, like how long is it going to take us to do the second one? But now that I think I know, like that we know what we're capable of, and we can like bank on this band, being something that we could that people want, that people want to listen to, that like taking it more in just like different ways and stuff like that is going to be just more, it's something, it's like I've always appreciated when bands explored themselves, kind of thing. Not necessarily that
now that you know
like,
what you're capable of, you know like what you can make better for next time.
Yeah, try different stuff, keep doing stuff that people that we like, that like that people say they like, because there's some surprises on the like I wasn't expecting people to like the song Hellhole on this record as much as apparently like most of the reviews that I've written mention it. Which is, it's literally one riff the entire time, or no, I guess one and a half riffs. There's like kind of a play off of it midway through, but it's like it's just the same, it's dumb. It's a really stupid song, and we've called it that, but it's also like our approach to, I guess, writing, I guess beyond that is doing the smartest dumb thing or the dumbest smart thing. Okay. To kind of keep it like within the, not trying to be overly technical, but not also doing something that like you're totally expecting. Okay. And that like, like if because there's definitely been parts like on, this record, this new stuff, where we're trying to, take it, and do different stuff with it that's out of the norm for, not what you're expecting, like, do
this whole record's not what I would be expecting from you guys. Honestly, I didn't know that y'all were a thing until this record, but then I went back and listened to all your older stuff. It doesn't sound a thing like what you're doing on this new one. So yeah, this is already like completely unexpected. Let's talk about some lyrics real quick. Did you know that you have the same lyrics posted under Bloom as you do Decay? Like it's the same ones, and Decay I'm pretty sure is the one where it doesn't add up. Decay's a shorter one, right?
Yeah.
So like it's not the right lyrics.
It's really strange. So Dan has like a very specific way that he wanted people to read the lyrics. So if I don't know if you have a copy of the record, or if you've like downloaded
I was looking at it at
Bandcamp.
Yeah.
That lyric sheet, like the way that it's set up is not, it's that's the way that Dan wanted it set up, is the way that you read, like especially like Marionette into Mind Leash and then Bloom into Decay. They're like, those aren't the lyrics in order for either song, but they are the lyrics for those songs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a conceptual kind of thing within the lyrics themselves, kind of whatever. Like, I mean, that might be just us doing like a, like a Converge, Jacob Bannon type thing, where the lyrics for Concubine are, or I can't, whichever song on Jane I can't remember, where he's just saying, "I'll stay gold" the whole time. Those are the only lyrics he actually says, but there's a whole paragraph of lyrics, like you can do whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
So that, yeah,
Okay.
that was
Okay.
kind of that was kind of, like he brought that to us as like an idea. And I was like, I mean, yeah, you're the one that's like has the thing in your head about those lyrics specifically. So, I'm not gonna like, fuck with you if that changes your perception of your art kind of thing.
Right.
Because like we brought him into the band because I respect his musical output. Like he's been in a bunch of fantastic bands. He's a great musician. He listens to good music and knows what just like it was kind of like a challenge for him to do lyrics, and that's what he came up with. So I was like that. I'm into that kind of thing. It's more like the lyrics are a separate thing from the song, but they're obviously related.
Right. 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 It's his bringing his aspect of his art into the music. Makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Just kind of confused me because I was reading through the lyrics. I'm like, these don't fucking line up. But
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it is a little confusing, but and I was trying to do like you can do the syncing. There's a like thing through the DistroKid, where putting the music on that you can sync your lyrics to the song, and
Yeah,
like
yeah. For
it's
like
like
TikTok and Instagram and shit.
yeah. So I tried to do that, and there's some of them where I just couldn't do it because they're not in the order that it was written, and I just like I didn't want to bother to like actually do it because it's not like people are going to be singing along to our songs necessarily. But there's some parts of some songs where it's lined up, so we can get content from it.
So
But
you had a couple guests on here. The only
mm,
one I know about is Molly, who's the vocalist of
yeah.
Closet Witch.
Mhm.
Who else? Who are these other people? Sanjeev. I'm sorry, probably pronounced it incorrectly. Sanjeev Mishra. And Brandon Kerrigan. Who are they? Just some
So
friends?
Brandon is the old vocalist.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Oh, the one that I saw lined up on your lineup before was a different person. Okay. I'm a little confused, but okay, we're all right. So that was the old vocalist, and who's Sanjeev?
Yeah. Sanjeev is he is the vocalist and like synth person for Tulip. So
Oh,
One of
cool.
Dan's other bands. So yeah, they're all
That's dope.
those two folks are uh local, and then we've known Molly for like I've booked Closet Witch at since they like first started in Minneapolis, like their first Minneapolis show. They probably played here like 8 or 9 times, and I've booked them like 7 or 8 of those 8 or 9 times. They're like great friends. We've toured with them. Uh, we are. I mean, I can say this because if anyone's watching, they deserve to know that we're doing a record release show, and they're playing their first like Minnesota show with us on the October 29th is like when we're doing our like record release kind of thing where we're playing the record all the way through.
Yeah.
And so that'll be fun, and they'll be playing so we can actually do the record, like
Like she could do her like
all
little guest spot and stuff too.
exactly.
That's sick.
Exactly.
That's really sick. So you have a really kick-ass cover. I got it up on
Mhm.
screen right now.
Oh yeah.
So two things that I think that this could be, right? Either a dude taking a sick rip off of a bong, or he's got a shotgun in his head and he's like gonna blow his brains, or maybe the red shit behind him is his brains being blown out. So what are we looking at exactly?
So I don't know if so I mean the art is fantastic, obviously. Like it was actually Dan's roommate at the time. Azita
Azaza as the board as that board
yeah.
is that board?
Yeah, as Azita Azadpour, I think is how it's
Okay.
pronounced. And she was Dan's roommate. I think they might actually still be roommates. I'm not sure if they moved out yet, but so and I just like had seen her art, and we were looking for something that kind of more like vibrant, kind of like interface kind of thing for the front cover, and that stuck out. So we like commissioned her, and so there's a full painting that it's not a square, it's a rectangle.
Hmm.
So if you I don't know if you can see, or if you've seen on the tapes, the the tapes are rectangular, so they have the full painting on there.
Oh, okay, now I'm looking at it right now. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like there's like a blood waterfall kind of thing, and he's got the hands. It's like it's I don't know, it kind of looked to me like like kind of like a statue out of like Lord of the Rings, like fan art or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just like we wanted something that was like
So you didn't
stark
give
and
her any
eye-catching.
direction. They just like came up with it.
Yeah, I mean, so we had the art from the back cover was actually going to be the front cover. And we just like, we sat on it for a super long time and we were like, we need something. I think we want something that's more like, I don't know, like pop, it just pops more, I guess, a little. So, it's just like something that like fits the, like kind of intensity of the music. So, and like I saw her Azita's color palette, like her use of like, orange and red and stuff like that in that kind of series of hers that she did. And so I asked her to do something within that series because Caleb had already included kind of a Rust. So the artist that did the back cover.
We're looking at the back cover right now, actually. So
yeah. So that's like a slightly different version of what the actual thing is, but there was a like that's kind of zoomed in. The whole the whole painting, or it's like a collage, and then there's this kind of rust color on the outside as a border.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to use that color. So, and she kind of matched up with that. So that's just kind of how it came out. We gave her the same prompt as him, which is like really convoluted and didn't really make any sense. So I'm glad that it was kind of hard to describe. Like it was like somehow we came up with the term cyber Satan.
Cyber Satan? What?
As like some kind of like visual thing, like some sort of, it was like technology and people and like sci-fi, but like having it be real kind of thing.
Okay.
Which like, Dan's lyrics are a lot like very sci-fi influenced. He's like a big, sci-fi, kind of, he's big
nerd.
Into that.
He's a big nerd.
Yeah, he's a big nerd.
Big old nerd.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, he was into more of that kind of, and he's been more of like a metalhead. He just listens to more metal music that would be considered metal, and like, I guess we both grew up on the same type of stuff, and he's been, he just plays in so many different bands, and he's, they're all like super technical and stuff, so he's just all over the place with, like his basis of where he comes from. So it's, he's got a lot of stuff to pick from as far as like influence goes, and like vocals and, like different stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see him bring it all together.
You also did 4 music videos for this. 3 of them are performance vids, but you did one really sick one for what was it? Mind Leash, which we're gonna be playing now. What's up with this one? Who did this?
So this is another like Closet Witch connection. This is Corey, who is Molly, the vocalist of Closet Witch's partner. He does this, a bunch of crazy animation stuff. Like he's been doing a lot more of it recently. So he did one for like this, like a little animated, music video like this for the band Cloud Rat. And I saw that, and I didn't know that he was open to doing stuff like that. So, I just hit him up and was like, we got this 53 or whatever second long song.
I was gonna say you choose the one that's the shortest runtime, so you don't have to pay so much. Make it cheaper. I got you.
Well, yeah, and it's harder to like, we didn't have like an idea of what animated kind of thing like that would go on for, like something that's kind of crazy, sporadic, and whatever, something like that. Like that doesn't really transfer over 2, 3, 4 minutes. So we just like we wanted the video to also like match kind of the crazy intensity of that song.
It matches. So, it matches.
Yeah, we have plans to do another kind of bigger like a story based or something that's not just like a performance video kind of music video for one of the songs. We haven't decided yet, but
okay.
Yeah.
We're showing the performance vids, by the way. I think this one is airing it. Yeah, it is. So, we're looking at these things. I got a couple questions that a random question we ask everybody here. What do you put on your hot dogs? The hard-hitting questions right here.
I like a good Chicago dog if I can
What is
You'll
a
find all
Chicago dog exactly?
It's got, I guess the traditional one is tomato slices, a dill pickle, celery salt, sport peppers, and mustard.
What
And I
is a
think
sport pepper?
it's kind of like a spicy pickled little pepper thing.
Okay, that's a really interesting one. Most people just say fucking ketchup, mustard, and maybe some onions on it. But you came ready with a real answer to it. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, if you can, I'm usually, when we're on tour, that's what we get, the hot dog, the gas station hot dog. This just keeps us going.
Ugh. Keeps you going somewhere. It keeps you going to the bathroom. Is what it keeps
Exactly.
So, looks like you guys are back to playing shows. Got your first show coming up. First show back.
Yeah. It'll be I guess 20 months since we last played. So it's August 6th at they're calling it the Spot. It's basically the new location of this gym that it's been like the third or fourth kind of franchise location called Los Campeones in Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is the first St. Paul location they're still moving into.
So you're playing at a gym?
Basically, yes.
Like around all the the equipment and shit?
Well, it's not fully turned over into the gym yet. So we have I think it's mostly going to be empty because it used to be a paintball course.
Oh wow.
Which, that's just kind of like a big empty place once you take all the barriers out.
True.
So, yeah, that's eventually, I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like, but I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be, there's going to be plenty of space.
Right. You're not going to be running into weight sets and
No, yeah, and that that would be dangerous as fuck because it's we're Zabalba is playing because they flew out or they were gonna play in Chicago or they are playing in Chicago the next day, and I guess the guy that putting the show on for that just hit them up and like, hey, can we get you to come up to Minneapolis like that same weekend kind of thing.
So far, what's been the best show in Wanderer?
The best show that we played, I mean, there's been a lot of like super, super fun ones. I think the one that's most like memorable for me is we opened for Power Trip, probably 2017, 16, something like that. And so that was like super fucking exciting. Like they were one of our favorite bands at the time. That was when Riley was still alive. And we got to play with them and like we had a really good it was like 5 people from being sold out at Triple Rock. Like it was an amazing show, and just like very memorable for me. This especially like I thought back to that instantly when I heard about Riley. So that was that one that I think about the most probably is that one, just because it was it was cool and we like played really well.
Right. What about your worst show?
Worst show. The one that comes to my mind just because it was like embarrassing.
Those are always the best ones.
Yeah. Well, we never I don't think we've ever like train wrecked. That's the one thing that I'm like super happy with, is that like we've always just like kept going and picked it up at some point, unless there was like like the amp blew up or guitars break or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think it was the first time that we played or I guess the first and only time since that we played in Brooklyn, and it was with Detach the Islands.
Ooh.
And Nerve Shatter, which is they're kind of like they're kind of like a sludgy kind of like Godflesh, but like Doom kind of. They were pretty good. But yeah, so like I had been put in contact by a friend who was friends with some of the guys from Dash the Islands. So we played with them, but it was right after the New York Mathcore Fest.
Oh, okay, Mathcore Index.
Mathcore
Index Fest. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that was in Brooklyn.
Like that was the first one then, I think, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, we were playing Brooklyn like 4 days after that, of course.
Nice.
So like we ran into a bunch of the other bands and stuff. Like we played shows with, or we were supposed to play shows with some of them, and like coming out of that fest. But yeah, it was kind of weird because we were in, like playing with them 4 days after they just played this massive fest, and so like not very there was like 3 people that paid, so we didn't get any money.
That
It was like,
sucks, man.
and then, like we had to drive to fucking East New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is just a shit, and just go to like a shitty hotel, and it was just a bad time. And one of my guitar strings broke in the middle of the set, so I had to use Sidhu from Detach the Islands guitar, and he was in like B flat or something, so I had to like detune the whole guitar. And it was just like it just took fucking forever, and I was so upset. Yeah, that was, it wasn't anything like actual, we still played the show and whatever.
Right,
It
right,
was
right.
like,
Powering
I'd
through it.
rather,
I gotcha.
yeah, I'd rather not like keep these people around longer than we have to.
What's the weirdest show you played? Like weird locations. We've had somebody play at an elementary school for fifth graders. Somebody played in like an ice cream parlor and stuff. Anything
Oh,
like that ever happened to you guys?
yeah. I mean, we played some weird spots. I guess like the kind of the coolest one that we played was with we got like added on last minute to a show with Inclination and Vatican and
Oh
a
damn,
couple of,
Vatican.
and One Step Closer before they like released anything on Triple B, which
Hmm.
is kind of cool. And then I think there was a couple local bands in Buffalo, and the place was called The Firm. And so we got added, we played first, like 30 minutes after doors. And, there's still like a ton of people there, but it was the upstairs like reception ballroom of a law firm. So it was like
Okay.
basically we played the upstairs of a law firm for what, like just because someone had some connection there that their dad or mom owned the place.
That's hilarious. I bet you got to be really careful about not like scratching up floors or anything like that because they'll sue the fuck out of you, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a little weird because it was like very nice and very, like kind of swanky place, but like it was big enough, and there was a dance floor, like like a wooden dance floor, so that everyone stayed moshing just on the wood, and it was fine.
That's hilarious. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was a little weird just because it was we got added like less than 24 hours before the show. We
Well,
were
still,
we
man,
were
playing
look
with Vatican and shit, that's pretty fucking sick.
Oh yeah, it was tight. Like I had known, or I'd met a handful of the Vatican guys because Hosian had filled in for Fuming Mouth,
Hmm.
and I had played with them in another band. So I knew him, and so like we were able to chat at that show. That was cool to just like see familiar faces on the road is always nice.
Hmm. So, what was the last thing you listened to?
um, I think it was the band The Runts.
The Runs. I
They're
don't
like
think I've heard of them.
they are like a just kind of like old, like really old school, like simple hardcore from LA.
Okay.
And it's just like fast and aggressive, and it sounds a lot like Negative Approach and like kind of early 80s hardcore kind of stuff. Like it's a lot of like Midwest like Necros and Negative Approach kind of sound, and it's just really fun, and really it's like a 20-minute record that I just like listen to over and over again.
Yeah, the only Runs I know is like the Candy, and Candy's okay. I'm sure
Yeah,
the music's better.
yeah.
What is your album of the year, either for this year or last year?
This year it's the Yautja record for sure.
Okay, dude, that one's fucking sick, man. I've been
Oh
trying to
yeah.
get Yalta on this cast, and they're so hard to get a hold of. But dude, the album fucking rips, man.
Oh yeah. They fucking rule. Like I got to open for them with Wanderer on my birthday
Oh,
a couple
nice.
years ago, and that was fucking sweet. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple riffs that I've like ripped off from them already. They're like an active band, and I've told them that to their face, and they're like, "Oh, sweet." Like uh but yeah, I mean, they're beyond fucking anything that, they're untouchable, after this, that record is like Tyler Coburn's drumming, unbelievable. Like he is like number one in my book as far as like drummers in the current like metal scene.
Damn, that's some high praise. Alrighty.
I mean, just the like he has his own unique style, and it sounds massive, and it complements the music perfectly. And like, I don't know, they would be a pretty good band if he just played the drums, like someone else, like, or if someone else were writing the drum parts, because the riffs are cool, but he like takes it to the whole other level.
So you said you had a bunch of merch around you. You want to show some of it off?
Oh yeah. I've got this. These shirts are some of like our pre-order ones that we have like left over, that were designed by Morgan Carpenter from Hive.
Okay.
They're kind of like a D-beat band from around here that we played a bunch of shows with and toured with. He's like a really good designer. There's like 3 locations, so it's left breast, and then there's that.
Ooh, nice.
On the sleeve, and then big thing on the back.
What is that supposed?
That's actually like the art of the for the lyric sheet, just like higher res. I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be, but it looks cool. And then this was another one of the pre-order shirts.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, I think people have been reading it as "Kill the Past," but it's "Kill the Pest," which is like a lyric on Hellhole.
Yeah.
And then here we got the spice.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Bring that one up.
It's
liberation from a flavorless experience.
yeah.
So good, man.
Yeah, and my buddy Tony, he like restarted up like a seasoning business because he had one in years past, and he he'd been doing spice mixes and stuff as kind of like a quarantine activity, to like kind of make some extra cash, and because more people were cooking at home and stuff. And I was like, I just one day was like, that would be cool if we could do like unique merch kind of stuff like that.
Right.
So I hit him up, and he was all about it. And the initial idea was to do like a black seasoning, so with like black salt and like black garlic and stuff like that. But it didn't really work out because black salt's like really hard to get. It's sort of expensive. So this is this is like what we came up with, and I guess it's really close in color palette to the album cover, which was kind of why we chose this blend. Not the only reason, because it tastes great. But
I was gonna say, is it good?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Like I use it pretty regularly on like mostly it's awesome on like pork chops and like kind of hearty veggies and stuff like that. And then like I put on like tofu and I made like infused oil with it, made salad dressing, and so it does a lot of different stuff. But it's just smoked sea salt, onion, garlic, black pepper, Aleppo pepper, mustard, and turmeric. Nice. So it turns everything orange. So like you're sprinkling and it turns your hand orange. But yeah, it's pretty good on most things that you would cook or grill. It's kind of a coarser texture, so it's really good on grilled stuff.
Right. That's cool. Man.
Yeah, it's I just wanted to do everyone has a bunch of black shirts. Everyone, if you want, if you like the band, you want the record, but like if you want something else,
you got the spice now.
Just like trying different stuff like that. Like Deicide is a fucking barbecue sauce. Like they're like Soothsayer is there's a bunch of places they do like hot sauces for some bands. There's tons of other bands that have their own hot sauce.
Right.
And like beer too. Like there's bands have their own beers, like Metallica has their own fucking whiskey, Slipknot has their own whiskey. It's like that's a thing that people like.
Yeah.
Especially like a consumable, because then if they like it, they have to buy more. If you like your t-shirt, you don't have to never buy one again.
Right.
So like, stuff like that is, like we're eventually going to be doing so Jack, the bassist, is a assistant brewer at this brewery called Elm Creek Brewing in Champlin, Minnesota.
Hmm.
So he's been doing it for almost 2 years now. So he has the skills and whatever. So we're coming up with a recipe for a beer to make our beer kind of thing. And it'll be like a literal extension of the band. It's I work there as well, so we're coming up with ideas. Like he's going to be writing the actual recipe, and actually making the beer. But like we came up with the ideas, like kind of thing. Like as far as we know right now, like it's going to be happening next couple months. We're going to be doing a black IPA. I don't know if you know anything about
How do you
beer,
make it black? You put like squid ink or something in there?
No, well that is one way that you could do, turn stuff black and like charcoal and stuff like that. But with a black IPA, it's basically the malt that is put in is the same malt that is used in stouts.
Okay.
So it's like smoked malt or smoked grain, or some sort of something like that. So it's it has that dark color. So it gets that dark color, but then it's not, it doesn't sit with it for very long, and then it's hopped as well, so like an IPA.
That's
so
sick,
even
man.
though black, it's like technically black India Pale Ale, like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Black and pale at the same time. So it's kind of like a controversial, within the extreme beer nerd world, to like be calling it that, which like because doesn't technically make sense, whatever. But
it
so
is
like,
weird as fuck.
Sounds
cool,
just
though.
like
Cool.
visually it's black, it's metal. I think we'll make it pretty good. It's those are usually pretty tasty. They got a little bit of the roasty, a little bit of the hoppy. So just expanding on that kind of stuff because it's unique and I like to see it from other bands. So why not do it myself?
Right, exactly. So you guys have got tapes, you got some vinyl, sick tie-dye shirts. I saw images of those look sick as hell. You guys got hoodies, CDs, face masks. Bet you'll be stuck with a lot of those right now.
We got rid of most of them. I think I only have a couple left.
Oh, okay, well that's good. But you can get all this stuff at is it just wanderer.bandcamp.com or?
I think it's wanderermn@bandcamp.com.
Okay, well there will definitely be a link in the description and such. That's about all I had to touch on though. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
I mean, I don't know if you're listening or watching in Minneapolis before August 6th, 2021, come to the Zavalba show that we're playing with While God Sleeps, which is they're a local like metalcore band. They sound like On Broken Wings, like super fucking heavy metalcore. And then a new death metal band from here that's like a mix of it's like a super group of like people that have been in the scene for a while. So it'll be a cool show and an interesting place with a band that hasn't played Minneapolis, St. Paul in like almost 10 years. So if you're that's how I just want as many people to come to that show. That's our first show back as possible. So
hell yeah, man. So if you're just going through the motions, you can't find joy in your life, let Wander liberate you with their sick debut album, Liberation from a Brutalist Existence. It was dropped last month through Intellidon Records and Badmouth Records. You guys are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Bandcamp. You're also on all the streaming websites. Is there any other social plugs I'm missing?
I think that's it.
Alrighty. As for me, drop my channel, follow so you always know when I go live. You can also sub to get access to interviews before they hit YouTube and other streaming services, as well as some exclusive emotes. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube, folks, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, tickle the notification bell. Don't forget to subscribe. It's a great way to support me for free. Check out my music, The Sound That Ends Creation, at thesoundthatenscreation.bandcamp.com. My next guest is Naraka, who dropped an EP back in February and just dropped some sick vinyl through Secret Swarm Records. Join us this Sunday, the 25th at 7 p.m. Central for the live cast. Thanks for being here, man. Hope you had a good time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. And thank you guys for watching and listening.